When you talk to somebody about their favorite road trip vehicle, they're probably like, oh, my Lexus has 4-way heated powered seats, a 15-speaker audio system, and automatic headlights. And while those things are great and all, today we're going to have a look at why one of these is actually one of the best road trip vehicles you can buy. So this is my 1996 Dodge Ram. I have about as much money in it as I do that thing, and it's a better road trip vehicle overall, well, besides a few small problems, than my 1994 Lexus LS400. And so let's go over some basics real quick. So of course, one of these trucks is obviously going to get worse gas mileage than a car like that. The Lexus gets about 20 miles per gallon on the highway, and the Ram gets about 15 at best. And recently I have taken both these vehicles on pretty long road trips. In May I took my Lexus down to Atlanta for Formula Drift, and in the end of June I took my Ram up to New York City, about 1,000 miles each way, to help a friend move. And now pretty much any time I want to do a road trip, I would definitely pick the Ram over the Lexus for a few reasons. And let's get the bad things out of the way first. As I said, the Lexus does get better gas mileage than the Ram by about 5 miles per gallon on the highway. The Ram is just massive, as you can tell. This is especially because it's an extended cab long bed, which is not great if you're going to a city such as New York City, as I found out. And the Lexus has more power amenities and fancy luxury type things than the Ram. But of course, the main thing with road trips, at least for me, is the driving experience. How comfortable you are, how easy it is to take one of these vehicles on a road trip, so on and so forth. So let's talk about that. So here's the thing, my Lexus has 167,000 miles on it, had 151,000 on it when I bought it. My Ram has about 133,000 on it, had about 126,000 when I bought it. The seat of the LS400, the seats are leather, which is nice, I guess. I'm not really too much of a fan of leather. This seat is one of the most uncomfortable seats I've ever rode in. I don't know why. I think it's worn out. I think that maybe somebody wore it down in the 151,000 miles it was driven before I owned it, which would also explain the rip in it right there. But the seat is just, it gets so uncomfortable after about an hour of driving. Like even just on my way home from work, usually in this car, I get a literal pain in my ass sitting in the seat. The Ram, I've never actually really gotten uncomfortable. Like every now and then, of course, I have to move because obviously on a road trip, your body doesn't really want to sit in the exact same spot for 15 hours or so, whatever you're driving for. But this seat in this truck is 100 times more comfortable than this seat. And even in the passenger seat and stuff, my friends have been like, it's not that great. But, you know, the same friends that sat in my truck in the passenger seat have been like, this is great. And of course, there are a few driver conveniences that you would expect and would really like on a road trip. Cruise control, which now does work in this truck, as I showed in one of my previous videos, is one of the biggest things, and it was the nicest thing on my 15.5-hour drive to, and then my 15.5-hour drive back from New York City. If I didn't have cruise control, I would have been just dead. My right leg would have been absolutely dead, because I did drive this thing to Kansas City, which is about 4 hours away, and I didn't have cruise control at that time because that was before I fixed it, and my right foot got extremely uncomfortable because this thing has a very heavy throttle. And then of course music is a big part of road trips too, at least for me. So basically I have the radio that came in the truck, and I have this little guy, an FM transmitter, where you basically hook it up, you tell it to broadcast to a certain station, and you hook your phone up to it via Bluetooth, and it plays through the radio of the vehicle. Of course, the audio system in this truck is not great. This one actually has the basic audio system. As you can tell, there's no speakers up here like there would be if it was the premium audio, which I don't really care all too much. But like this thing has power windows and AC, which is kind of nice. The AC doesn't work very well right now. I need to kind of fix it a little bit. It needs to be charged, and also it never comes out of the vents up on the dash. It only comes out of the ones up here, so it doesn't really even get to me. But other than those minor little things I need to fix, which is nothing really inherently wrong with the truck necessarily, this thing is great. And of course, having a manual transmission on a road trip is alright as well, because if you're driving, 15 hours or whatever, you're going to be spending most of the time on the interstate. You might have to shift down the fourth or third here and there because of road work or whatever. But for the most part, you're staying in fifth gear. And it's not like you're going to be shifting all the time and wearing yourself out just driving the manual transmission. Of course, this truck is a little louder than the Lexus, both on the inside and the outside, but it's actually quieter than I originally expected. There we go, that's a word. And the driving experience isn't really that much different otherwise. As I said, this thing is long, but that's mostly just for parking. It's not really going to matter on the highway or anything, whether it's, 20 feet long or 15 feet long. And the great thing about a truck is that you can set up stuff like a brush guard and a winch, and also have four-wheel drive. So if you're driving to somewhere, say, north, like Minnesota or something, and it's in the winter, and it starts snowing, and you need either a little help, or you accidentally run into a tree a little bit, it'll help you. And as this stuff is really, really easy to get for trucks, not so much for a Lexus LS400. And of course, a big thing that both of these vehicles kind of have in common as well is that they're both built very well. Some people might say no on the Ram because they're known to have cracked dashes and whatever, but reliability-wise, powertrain-wise, this Ram will easily keep going until like 200,000 miles, if not more, without really any major repairs. And it's the same with the Lexus. But general cars aren't usually built to last as long as trucks, because trucks are made to tow and just go off-roading, whatever. And so they're just kind of generally built a little bit better, at least for their powertrain, suspension, and everything else like that. Which means basically that you're not really going to have to worry about stopping and having a broken down truck on the side of the road in the middle of your road trip. And finally, the last big thing that I want to say about the Ram is the practicality. As I said, it's already going to be good off-road, as well as just in any kind of weather situations that you might run into on your road trip. But there's also the fact that inside you have room for 6 people, because it's got a bench seat in the front and a bench seat in the back, and you have all the space in the bed. Lexus, on the other hand, seats 5 people and has a medium-sized trunk, so you can't really carry as much as you can in something like this. And then also you can carry a trailer and haul more stuff. So it's extremely practical for a long trip, especially if you're going somewhere or moving somewhere. Like I said, I helped a friend move and we had the bed basically filled up and also behind the seats. And in my Lexus, I would have never been able to do that. And so basically, trucks like this are older and cheaper. And they're still making very, very, very good road trip vehicles. Of course, when you get around to looking like the brand new Ford F-250s with diesels and stuff like that, they get really expensive. But you can pick up an old 90s truck like this for a few grand and get a lot of use out of it, as well as have a really nice road trip vehicle. And so thank you all so much for watching this video. If you have any comments on what I've talked about in this video or any of my vehicles, be sure to leave them in the comment section below. And we're going to try and do some more content soon, because I think I'm finally ready to come back to it. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'm out of here. See ya. And before I close out this video, I wanted to say thank you all so much for 7,000 subscribers. We're getting closer and closer to the 10,000 mark, which has always been a big goal of mine. And we're getting much closer than I anticipated. So thank you all so much for that. And now I'm out of here.